Hello, fellow Summoners War players. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Chasing Speed. And I gotta tell you, this is going to be the most exciting episode of Chasing Speed. We have a special guest who's going to join us in talking about speed leads. His name is Jeff Goldblum. Yes, that Jeff Goldblum. He has agreed to a telephone interview, and he's going to help us with commentary as we talk about speed leads. So this is very exciting. Let's get started. Here we are back on my IAmSpeed account on Global. And today's topic for the video is very early game speed leads, my top 7 picks. And these are all speed leads you don't need to have any luck in getting. No lightning. These are speed leads you can either get by doing fusions, or the game gives them to you, or they're available from unknown scrolls. So let's get started on this, and let's bring in our guest commentator, Jeff Goldblum. So Jeff, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, before we get started, is there anything you'd like to say to my audience?
Hello, my name is Jeff, J-E-F-F Goldblum, G-O-L-D-B-L-U-M.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, now everyone knows how to spell your name?
Yes.
Okay. So, now, Jeff, we both know that the Summoner's War is really an addictive game. It's really hard to put it down. I bet you're on the movie sets, getting ready to film, and you're probably sitting in your chair farming Giants B12, aren't you?
Sure enough, guilty as charged.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay, well, is there anything else you'd like to add before we get started on speed leads?
Must go faster.
Okay. Jeff doesn't have much time. Let's get going right into it. Okay, so I know I said my top 7 choices, but I want to start off with 3 honorable mentions. First one is Jeltan. He's a 16% speed lead for guild content. So he is useful in basically Guild Siege and Labyrinth. But he's hard to get. You can only get him from an LD scroll, and we all know we don't get enough of those. And too often we're not summoning good units like him. The second honorable mention is Lucian, or Lucian. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. We're going to go with Lucian for this video. So Lucian is one unit that everyone gets as soon as you finish the first scenario. And he has a pretty good kit. So 2 shots, an additional shot if he does a critical hit. The second skill is very nice. He'll stun the enemy, and then you gain another turn instantly. So then you can go into your third skill, which deals pretty good damage and gets 50% damage bonus if you're hitting someone that's frozen, stunned, or asleep. And of course, the 15% global speed lead, which is the highest global speed lead you can get without getting lightning in the game. And then the last honorable mention is one I haven't pulled yet, Walkers. And so Walkers shoots 2 shots, and each shot has a 25% chance to ignore defense. So he can do pretty good damage with his first skill. Second skill is remove a beneficial effect, and then your attack bar is boosted by 50% after the attack. So you're cycling your turns and doing a little bit of damage. And then the third skill is something that really not a lot of people know about. And so it's attacks with a 100% chance to stun the enemy. It just has to go through the resistance check. It's a 1-turn stun. But more importantly, it sets the enemy's skill cooldowns to the full amount. So cooldown all their skills to the full amount. Not many people know about that. I'm just curious, Jeff, were you aware of this third skill on Walkers?
That's good. I didn't know he had that up his sleeve. As he says, it's intense and
Well, Jeff, I'm glad I taught you something about the game. That's pretty cool. Walkers is a great unit. And let's move on to number 7. Beretta is number 7 with a 19% speed lead for all ally monsters. And so he's a fusion unit, so you can fuse him. and he'll give you that 19% speed lead. His first skill isn't very much. He just does a little bit of damage, increases his critical rate, so you can ruin him with only 70% crit rate. His second skill will decrease the attack bar down to 0 for one target. And then third skill is 2 dots on all enemies. It's a decent kit, but I've always found him to be very squishy, kind of hard to keep alive. So I don't use Beretta very much, but he's number 7. When you're just looking to get speed leads, he can help you out. Karu has a 23% water monster speed lead, so he can only be used with water, but that can be useful. And of course, you're going to be building him for Karu anyway. So using a monster that you've already built is one of my recommendations in the game. And his kit is not bad. Skill 1, he decreases defense. Skill 2 is he will team up with up to 3 allies, so you can do a lot of damage with skill 2 if you're teaming up with allies that do a lot of damage. So he's pretty good with the water twins, actually. And the third skill is counterattack, which is a passive, but every time you attack, you put up a counterattack for 1 turn. So Karu is a pretty good speed lead for very early in the game. So Jeff, any comments you'd like to add about Beretta or Karu?
Very good. Very, very good. A pointed, surgical, and an insightful, what am I trying to say?
So Jeff, are you just trying to say that was a good, insightful analysis of those 2 units?
Yes.
I think number 5 is one of the most underrated units in the game, and it's Randy. So Randy is a 16% guild content speed lead. Just like Walker's, shoots 2 shots that can ignore defense on skill 1. Skill 2 is 2 shots, and it has a built-in violent proc. It has a 30% chance to proc and shoot 2 more times. And if your HP is lower than your enemy's HP, then you have a 50% chance to proc, which means you can go crazy with this skill. I have seen Randy do 10, 12, 14 hits all in 1 turn, so he can absolutely devastate and kill an opponent. It's all based on RNG, but hey, it's Summoner's War, it's RNG. But fabulous second skill. And the third skill is very good too. Increases the crit rate and defense for all allies for 3 turns. And so Randy is actually a really good pairing with Bulldozer and Copper to make the team faster. Now, he doesn't boost the attack bar so that you get a turn very early on, but if you pair Randy with Bulldozer and Copper, it makes your team speedier. So if you know you're going against a team that doesn't have a speed lead, then Randy can be a very good choice because it brings in an additional damage dealer where Immensity's not really a damage dealer, but Randy can do some nice damage. Jeff, do you want to chime in at all?
I've come upon him. I know hello, and I know all about you because I've come upon these offerings on my Instagram. I get them right on the money.
Well, thanks for your insight, Jeff, I guess. But let's move on to number 4. Number 4 on my list for the top easy to get speed leads at the beginning of the game is Asano. Is a great. He's a 30% speed lead for water monsters. So another one that's paired well with the water twins. Also can be paired really well with Julie and Konamiya. So that's another nice team with him. Deals more damage based on his attack speed. His second skill also does damage according to attack speed and will also absorb 50% of the enemy's attack bar. So that's really nice. And then his passive makes him really strong. Reduces the odds of receiving a critical hit by 50% and also increases your resistance by 50%. So it's can be very difficult to take him down. And anytime he doesn't get hit by a critical hit, his attack bar goes up by 20%. So you're cycling his turns by hitting him. So Susano is an outstanding unit. Jeff, you have any comments on Susano?
Even though he's doing some mental exercises to, I say, win the argument, yeah, but then something is going on where he's really full of enjoyment, which captures something.
Okay.
So, bravo.
Jeff, I'm not quite sure what you're saying there. Tell you what, let's move on. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3 on my list is Naomi. So she has a 16% guild content speed lead, and then she just does a ton of damage. And she can stun with her first hit and leave branding with a second one. Of course, you want a 2 AR for this purpose. And also can decrease the enemy's attack bar, so slow down the enemy. And she doesn't need crit rate, so she's a fabulous third pick for early game speed leads. And number 2 is Verd. So Verd has a 28% speed lead for dungeons, which is fairly limited, but it becomes really handy in dragons and any other dungeon content that you might want to use a fire speed lead for. So Verd is great for that, and you're going to use him in a ton of other content anyway. So building him and using his speed lead in dungeons is a no-brainer. Finally, we have number 1, which is Fran. So I'll admit that Fran's speed lead leaves a little bit to be desired at only 10%, but it still can give you that edge when you really need it, if you just need to speed someone up a little bit. And the rest of her kit is just fabulous with the attack power break and attack bar reduction on skill 1, cleanse and heal on skill 2, and then attack buff, immunity, both for 2 turns on skill 3 along with the heal. So outstanding kit, and that's why it makes her my number 1 choice for early game speed leads. Everyone's going to build Fran, and you might as well use her speed lead whenever you need to. And that's it for my commentary on my favorite top 7 early game speed leads. Kind of almost afraid to ask, but Jeff, is there anything you'd like to add? Any particular speed lead that's your favorite?
I embrace them all into my basket of appreciation and goodwill.
So that's it for me today. And Jeff, I just would like to thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. I got to admit, your commentary today was a little off, a little disjointed, kind of generic. And I was just wondering, was there anything that was kind of frustrating for you today?
Not being able to come up with exactly, directly, succinctly what you want to say, but beating around the bush to try to find some thought. Your mind is, as you're talking, your mind is actively still, chewing on something, and it's less that you've got some rich inner mental life, but more that I hardly know, what I'm talking about.
No, Jeff, it's all my fault. I really we didn't have much time to prep for this, so that's my fault. That's on me, but really appreciate you being here. So thanks, and Jeff, we'll talk later. And thank you, Summoners War players, for participating in this really unique opportunity I had to review these top 7 speed leads with our good friend Jeff. So hope you enjoyed the episode, and we will see you in the next one. Later.